Greetings, people. When I ask people why they think Tyson Fury would beat Alexander Usyk and AJ, the answer they more than often give is that Fury is too big, particularly when they're talking about Usyk's chances. I personally think that answer's a cop-out. Is Tyson Fury really too big to be beaten by a smaller, lighter man? Is size an insurmountable obstacle? If we take just a small historical audit, that idea doesn't hold up to scrutiny. While it's true, we are in an era of very big men. For instance, George Foreman was considered a big heavyweight in the 1970s, which was 6'4" and around 260 pounds. Ali was 6'3", 220 pounds, depending how his training went. Before that, there was Joe Louis, who was 6'2" and 213 pounds, in and around that. So we are in an epoch of exceptionally large fighters. That's on average. That doesn't mean there wasn't exceptionally large, colossal men in boxing's past. There has been considerably enormous fighters that even dwarf Tyson Fury, or in comparison to fighters of their times, had massive height and weight advantages. Such as Ewart Potgieter, 7'2", 318 pounds, who was beaten on points by a boxer called Jeff Dyer, who was 6'2", and a John Holtman, 6'3". That's a 1 foot difference. These are tall, capable boxers, by the way. They're not fairground scrappers. Primo Carnera, who was a heavyweight champion and a knockout machine, was 6'6", 275 pounds, who lost several times to a Luigi Mussina, who was just 175 pounds in weight. That's a 100 pound weight difference. How about Jess Willard, 6'7", 245 pounds, who was soundly beaten by Jack Dempsey, 6'1", weighing 185 pounds. Jim Cully, 7'2", lost as much as he won. You get the picture. Being tall and big does not equate to being a great, unbeatable boxer. Some people might say, Fury, he moves well and he's quick. He moves well against the opponents he's picked. And he is good. But so was some of the boxers I've mentioned. And they were outclassed by smaller, lighter opponents. Bear in mind, Tyson Fury doesn't hit as hard as you would think a man that size should. So when I hear people say, Fury's too big, I think to myself, you're not well acquainted with boxing's history, past and present. Just think for a moment, how many tall and heavy boxers of our time haven't made a dent in boxing? Remember David Price? At 6'8", he showed good promise and could punch. How about Audley Harrison? He won Olympic gold, but didn't achieve his potential in the pro ranks. Julius Long, 7'1". Out of 47 fights, he lost 27. There was a Ruhan Visa, showed a lot of promise. Too big and too strong, they said. He was 6'10", 275 pounds. Was beaten by a 6'1" novice. Some of these fighters, you may say, were big pieces of lumber. They couldn't move. Too slow, too stiff. Frankenstein-like. But you'd be wrong. That wasn't always the case. Tyson Fury isn't as unique as you think. There has always been unusually big boxers throughout history, and they were good enough to win titles. And they were all beaten by smaller, lighter men. The likes of Akinwande, 6'7", who held the WBO heavyweight championship, was beaten by Oliver McCall, who's 6'2". Ernie Terrell, 6'6", who held the WBA title, and who famously lost to Ali, who's 6'3", and Cleveland Williams, who is 6'2". Nikolai Valuev, 7 foot tall. He held the WBA belt and was beaten by David Haye, 6'3". He was also beaten by Ruslan Chagaev, who was 6'1". And although he didn't get the decision, I thought Holyfield beat him as well. Then we could look at Marcellus Brown, who was 7 foot, who went on to win a version of the WBC title, and he held the WBU title as well. He was beaten multiple times, famously by Tommy the Duke Morrison, who was 6'2". The thing is, they all come unstuck by what we would call now blown up cruiserweights. Many of the guys campaigned at cruiserweight before becoming heavyweights. Does that remind you of anybody else? So being too big is a fallacy. Tyson Fury is not too big for someone like Usyk, who is an exceptional mover, a fast, accurate volume puncher. In fact, it's the other way around. The question should be, how can Fury beat someone like Usyk? Some people say Fury will just lean on him. You can't win a fight just leaning on a fighter that keeps moving his feet and keeps throwing punches. In fact, that tactic could be costly for Fury, as he'd get caught trying to initiate a clinch. Just watch how many times Usyk gets clinched. Not many. When I think of the fight with Usyk against Fury, I picture it would be like Buddy Bear, that's Max Bear's brother, v Joe Louis. In that fight, Buddy gets punished for leaning on and trying to impose his weight on the much smaller Joe Louis. You see that? If Fury rushes in, he'll get picked off. And if he decides to keep it long, it'd be like running a marathon. And I don't think he's got the legs for that. I mean, how many times have you seen a taller fighter keep a determined, quality boxer at arm's length? I haven't seen that often. Could Fury be different? Maybe. I doubt it though. Anyhow, I wanted to shine a light on the misconceptions that some fans and pundits have when they are asked who would win out of Fury and Usyk, and they make size the deciding factor. Of course, height and weight, when used properly, is an advantage. Before I forget, how about Mike Tyson? All 5'10" of him, who dominated the heavyweight division and was undisputed. Size is useless unless you know what to do with it. Alexander Usyk, 6'3", knows what to do with his size. Fury, he knows what to do with his size, but he's just not as good. Anyway, thanks for listening, and remember, choose life.